Welcome to the Set to Lead podcast, the online mentoring platform for emerging and current leaders. My name is Ann Samedi, leadership coach and talent development expert, and I will be your host. Hello, fellow leaders. It's great to have you here at the Set to Lead podcast. Today, I want to share content with you on how to become emotionally strong in the workplace and in life. I have a new book out titled Power Over Emotions, which is a practical guide on how to develop emotional intelligence to achieve your relationship goals in business and in life. Check it out on Amazon if you're looking for more success in your current relationships. With that said, let's dive into today's topic. I read a quote by Edwin Lewis Cole that says, "People are only young once, but some of them can be immature for a lifetime." You know, I can really relate to this quote. Most professionals that you meet will possess enough self-control to prevent emotional outbursts. The emphasis, though, is most of them will. But we have some that don't have that self-control ability. These individuals are easily upset, moody, overly sensitive, or what I like to call irrationally irritable. Occasionally, they explode with rage, tears, or even chronic self-pity. Personally, I have to say I was shocked to see people in the workplace with explosive emotions because I thought, quote unquote, professionals don't operate like that. I also thought that type of behavior would never be allowed by those who witnessed it in the workplace. But guess what? I was wrong. If only our brains operated like computers, right? Where we could hit the delete button and send all our explosive emotions to the trash can. But that's not the way our brains function. Once we become irritated, discouraged, or angry, we tend to stay there for a while. And many times, it takes time to regain our emotional footing. The emotional drama we find ourselves sometimes reminds me of quicksand. The best way to stay out of it is really to avoid getting into it in the first place. That means catching ourselves before we get carried away, not after. Quite honestly, the easiest way to stay emotionally healthy is to distance ourselves from people who aren't. But what should you do if you find yourself confronted with an emotionally overly dramatic outburst at work? Honestly, you can't always head for the door when confronted. I hate to say it, but sometimes you have to try to diffuse the situation and not make it worse. Learning how to use emotional intelligence in the workplace is a process that requires time and practice. New skills have to be learned, and you may have to unlearn some skills too. I believe if we are all here to serve in some capacity, that includes helping others in the workplace. As a colleague and as a leader, I think it's our responsibility to perform to the best of our ability to help the company succeed. But it's also our responsibility to help those around us act and respond in emotionally intelligent ways. If we do it with our children and our family members, why can't we transfer this behavior to the workplace and find moments to help our colleagues be more in tune with how they respond emotionally? I had a situation earlier on in my career where I was having a conversation about a project me and another leader were working on. The conversation ended with my colleague yelling at me at the top of their lungs, and I was left startled, hurt, and actually quite livid. I wish I could tell them how I really felt and use all the trashy language I could think of, and a few newly created ones too. But I chose not to do that. Here is what I did instead. First thing I did was speak to myself using these words. Marianne, so-and-so is really angry that I'm talking to them about this. No matter how angry they get, I will remain calm. I will breathe deeply and speak at a normal pace. Listen, you have to say this to yourself and coach yourself to calmness. Second, try to calm them down. Typically, if the person isn't seated, You could offer them to take a seat and talk about things. However, that didn't work for me. They just got more angry when I mentioned sitting down for my particular scenario. Perhaps you could also offer them something to drink. That may assist with the cool down process. Also, you can ask them to speak slower. You might say, I really want to hear what you're saying, but I can't when you're talking so fast. So could you please speak a little more slowly? Slowing down someone's speech can help with creating more calm in them and towards the situation. Lastly, take a time out. That is what worked for me in my scenario. Taking an agreed break helps to diffuse unproductive emotional reactions. You could tell the other person you need to run to the restroom or something. This will give them a few minutes alone where they can hopefully take a few deep breaths and compose themselves. In my scenario, we decided to take a few days break. That was enough to get our relationship back on track. Hopefully these tips were helpful. Remember that your job is to control your emotions even when others have lost control of theirs. If you want to learn more about how to manage your emotions with your relationships that matter most, look for my book titled Power Over Emotions at www.amazon.com.